Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Top Gear Philippines podcast. Once again, I am Leandre.
I'm Dinzo.
And Carlo.
And Anton.
So not to brag, but this has been 3 episodes in a week. In a row. So yeah. Not in a week. We have other stuff to do. Anyway, so once again, let's start with the news. So first up is the Mitsubishi AXCR, the ongoing rally. Anton, would you like to kick that off?
Okay, so the second leg just finished, and I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. So provisional results sees Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia in the lead, actually. And then it's in a different class, but an independent team running an Isuzu D-Max is in second. But running second in class and third overall is Team Mitsubishi Rally Art. So that's how it looks like right now.
I think one of the first things you have to do, inform everyone is what is AXCR?
Okay, so AXCR is the Asia Cross Country Rally, wherein a lot of, let's say, the major pickup manufacturers compete in, or major SUV manufacturers compete in, and they run in semi-modified, popular SUVs and pickups. So in this case, Toyota is running a Fortuner and a Hilux. Mitsubishi Rally Art, purely Tritons. Ford even entered with a Raptor, actually. And that kind of
Isn't that a bit unfair?
Oh, they modify their trucks anyway, so
That's true.
Should be.
And actually, I'm looking at the leaderboard.
They're
Ford,
not doing so well.
Ford is not on the top 10, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, the top 10 is dominated by Toyota, Mitsubishi, and Isuzu.
That sounds familiar. But anyway.
Yeah.
So actually, if they want to learn more about it, actually our associate editor Sheng Banzon is in Thailand, and she just covered the AXCR. So on to the next one.
The next one's a reason why the traffic today, because for those who don't know, we record this on a Wednesday. The traffic today was insane. And that's because there's good news, actually. Our Olympians are coming back. So congratulations, Carlo, Yulo, and everyone else who won medals. Our boxers won medals.
Golfers,
They're
finished
back.
4th.
They finished 4th. So close. I was watching that live. And they were tied for 3rd. They just needed the Chinese golfer not to do well. Unfortunately, she did. So,
But yeah, for everyone's information, they had to close off several roads around Manila City and Pasay City, and we all know how traffic is in the metro. One area goes bad, it's a domino effect.
So if you were checking our Facebook and everything, we did post about the traffic update. But more importantly, has anyone committed to our Olympians to give them cars?
None.
Not that I know of.
Because Heidelin had
2 cars.
Tonic and what was the other one?
A Photon. I believe, if I remember correctly, she got a Photon.
I remember that. There was like a press con and everything.
Yeah.
Photo shoot. So,
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting. 2 golds though. So
But there were a lot of commitments from so many people. Just no cars. Surprisingly.
no cars yet.
No cars.
No cars yet. Because of course we're talking about this. We don't know if they've actually signed with someone.
Yeah.
Any sponsorship deal.
So what should they get?
2 goats means 2 Land Cruisers.
Like 2 golds.
But the plot twist is Carlos has to wait for the waiting.
So they're gonna give him a Prado. But it's
gonna
a Prado.
be-
2 years.
It's just in time for LA 2028.
I was gonna say.
LC3 or Prado, they'd have to wait for the next Olympic. By then, he'll get another gold and they'll have to wait for the next Olympic.
And it's the next generation.
No, but seriously, congratulations to them. They were our pride and joy, even if for 2 weeks.
So anyway, it's on to my favorite part of this podcast. Marketplace finds. Let's start with you, boss.
Marketplace finds. So again, we look through Marketplace on any given week, and sometimes we just send stuff to each other. And this week, I don't have a BMW.
Wow.
I will start with a 2003 Nissan Patrol.
I like that.
Ooh, Y61.
I saw 2 this morning.
Yes.
I like that.
But did you know that they're now trading hands on Facebook for 340,000 pesos?
Wow.
What engine is that thing on again?
It's a ZD30. Okay, it's a 3-liter turbo diesel.
Anton English.
For the listeners who don't
Here's the thing, though, about the early Y61 or GU or whatever the enthusiasts want to call it, Patrol. The first batch of models were 2-wheel drive because to get around the AUV law so that they can sell it for cheaper.
Are we back to the AUV lots?
So this generation of Patrol was actually a 10-seater. And they came into wheel drive. But I was told that, if you pay a little bit extra, there is a 4-wheel drive kit that, the dealer can install for you.
As an option.
As a quote-unquote option.
Is that why this one's only 340K?
It might be a 2-wheel drive car.
It's an accessory. Imagine having the drivetrain as the accessory to make it cheaper.
I remember this.
Yeah.
150K.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Pero 150K difference between the 4x2 and 4x4, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Cars were so cheap back then kasi nga.
But
Yeah, and-
a loophole is legal.
Don't tell Hot.
Kudos to Nissan.
We're gonna go back to talking about the 10-seater
It's a
CRV.
it's a 4-wheel drive AUV. Right. So the second car,
Which I also saw
yeah.
on my feed.
is not German.
Finally.
It is still European, but it's French.
Oh God.
It's interesting because probably not a lot of people know about this, but if there are any European nationals who happen to listen to this podcast, it is a Renault 4L. And what's interesting is it has Tour de France livery on it. Oh my God, I'm looking at it now. And it's as it's very cheekily looking French. I mean, kulang na lang may kasamang
Nice
baguette,
steelies though.
Yeah.
So this is a period correct 4L.
Yes, it is
And
a
it
Renault
looks clean.
4L.
Looks clean.
And this car is actually credited to be the world's first hatchback. Now, you probably think the Mini was a hatchback. It wasn't.
1986.
Didn't the Golf come out before?
Okay, so the Renault 4 came out in the 60s, and they made them for that long. They made them for over 20
man.
years. And the Renault 4,
What
Yeah.
a big hatchback. though.
no, it's tiny.
Oh, it just looks big.
Oh.
Yeah, it's tiny. That thing is tiny.
Okay, I thought it looked like a station, almost like a station wagon.
Station wagon. I thought
Yeah.
it was like a taxi. European
Yeah.
taxi.
So you're telling me that, so it's just a
It's
perspective.
slightly bigger than a Mini.
Okay, I'm looking at the plate number now, and it's kind of more obvious when you see how big the plate number is.
Oh, ano.
So yeah,
Oh,
this car is
You
credited,
don't see it. But
often credited to be the first hatchback in the world. And, the Europeans have been at it ever since.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that European car from Anton,
Let's look at Dinzo's next European car.
Yeah. Not a BMW, but still a BMW. I'm looking at
Is it a Mini?
Mini Countryman.
Well, it's either a Mini or a Rolls
Yeah.
Royce.
2015 Mini Countryman with an actual price this time, 1.098 million. And it's green. I like green stuff, and I'm not sure if it's
The
British
color
racing.
green, just to clarify, guys, not
kinda
that
like green.
kind of green.
What's that kind of green? Hindi ko alam. Yeah, I've always liked the minis. They're 10 years ago, they were more stylish BMWs, basically. Same software inside. You can really see the BMW DNA. But I like the design. I like how, especially in the inside, it had the airline switches up and down.
The toggle switches, yes.
Toggle switches. That big weird handbrake that feels like an airplane lever.
Yeah.
Big hand, and you pull it back, and I really enjoy them, and I'm so glad that they're depreciating so fast.
Konting hintay pa, boss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but for 1M, it's quite nice, no? Because it is all-wheel drive, no? And
all four, gas
Yeah.
automatic.
and the funny thing is, it's last week it was an X6, now it's a Countryman. Dean's just keeping the weird alive.
Yeah.
Hey, the Countryman isn't as bad as the X.
Right? Wait, you don't have to react to that. You don't have to react to that.
Leandre, kalma lang. Gusto pa natin sumweldo.
Okay.
Your sec.
Do you have another car?
That's it for this.
Okay.
Okay, so Leandre.
So,
It's Leandre.
on to my find. So, I found a 1974 Ford Mustang. Before I talk about it, Anton, would you mind sharing what you told me about the 1974 Ford Mustang?
Okay, so that Mustang was produced from 73 to about 77. So that was called the Mustang 2. And it is the most hated Mustang of all time because it was based on a Ford Pinto.
Which exploded.
Yes, it's based on a Ford Pinto. It had a 5-liter V8, yes, but it only made 135 horsepower because at the time, the
This
70s,
is the time of when they did
Oil
restrictions. Yes,
something like that.
because you're talking about American cars.
So yeah, it was the oil crisis, so everything was choked. The thing that made it really infamous was, aside from that, basically it didn't live up to the Mustang name, to a point that they called it Mustang 2.
Okay, so that Mustang 2 is clearly one of the worst, or if not the worst Mustangs ever. Let me tell you this. This one costs for 135,000 pesos. When I found it, hey, the shell alone shouldn't have cost that little. Like 135K for a Mustang. Then I started
What
reading.
engine is in it?
I started reading. Then get this. Semi-restored. Let's start from the bottom. Semi-restored, unfinished project. Lost documents. Maski Xerox, wala po. So, sige, red flag. Okay, red flag. Tapos, I read up. Toyota 22R engine, which is
About as fast as the 2.3.
Yes.
But the thing is, I was wondering, hey, the purists might hate this. But then again, when you told me it's the worst Mustang ever, hey, the purists might like this. It might make a bit more sense now.
And you know what? It's probably gonna be more tepid than the 2.3 line in the original Mustang.
If you're driving with a small engine na lang,
Yeah.
might as well.
Okay, so now we go to Wrong Car, Right Car podcast edition. And we say podcast edition because
We just shot episode 2 of our Wrong Car, Right Car. Second one in a year. I mean, not to brag, but that's quite a lot. So yeah, hopefully we get more of that going. But yeah, podcast edition.
So actually, before that, if anyone wants to volunteer for Wrong Car, Right Car, shoot us a message, and you never know, you might find yourself on Top Gear Facebook and YouTube page. But here on the podcast, my uncle actually gave me a call and said he's looking for a cheap Chinese EV sedan specifically because his driver will be driving it and driving him to and from work. He's saying Chinese because I guess it's a price component also.
Did he say a price range?
No, he didn't. That's the thing.
But he wants one that's affordable.
He wants an EV that's affordable, basically. If we have first, let's see, are there any options for EV sedans that are Chinese?
Sedan, but
It's literally just the BYD seal.
yeah.
Doesn't Hongqi have an EV sedan?
I think it does, but
Is it affordable?
No, not
it's
so.
not.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, something more affordable would be. It's not a sedan, but it's small. It's the MG4, which you drove recently.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's
That's
EV.
true.
It's 1.4 M. It starts at 1.4 M.
Yes, and the MG4 is not an SUV. It's more of a hatchback.
More hatchback.
So,
more
yes,
hatchback.
yes.
might be something worth considering. So it's that or the BYD seal.
The Dolphin is also a hatch, but at least it's small.
The Dolphin's really
hatch-
small.
Well, the Dolphin is smaller than the MG4 pa. 'Cause when I had the MG4, I was actually amazed with its space. I mean, that's typical with any battery-powered car. Was your uncle specific with sedans?
He did say sedan, but I think
There aren't
he
a
meant
lot.
not SUV.
Not SUV.
Okay, so- okay.
crossover-ish, pwede.
I guess you could try. I mean, I'll let him listen to this and see what he thinks. Huh?
The Atto.
Yeah, the Atto 3.
Okay, the BYD Atto 3. I haven't driven one. I've ridden in one. It's quite nice in the back. The second row is quite big. It's got some quirky stuff like the string, the guitar strings.
Guitar strings.
And the interior is quite nice. So I think it's a good option.
Okay, but
So it's MG4 or either of the two BYDs.
yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, though,
Is
do we
there,
limit ourselves to Chinese EVs because there are a lot?
is there an EV from non-Chinese manufacturers that go into that price range of 1.5 million? That's a problem, I think.
Well, yeah. Okay, so
Fast.
VinFast.
Yeah. Yeah, those are new.
Yes, but those are full-size SUVs. No? How much is the VF7 though? Is it still within the price range?
No, it's a bit.
I'm checking it now.
The 9 is like 3 million here.
Yeah, so it's a bit expensive. I think when he said Chinese EV sedan, it's really more a price thing. So more or less between the three options we were able to give, the MG4, the BYD Atto 3, and the BYD Seal,
yeah.
what would you recommend, Anton?
Okay, so I mean, you have the MG4 is the in-betweener here, but if it's got good space inside, decent range. Actually, you get the best range with the mid-range model. And it handles really well, drives really well, comfortable. It's a nice middle ground between the Seal and the Dolphin. Although the Atos 3 is also another interesting choice. So if your uncle insists on something lower to the ground, it's the MG4. But ground clearance is everything these days.
Yes.
If ground clearance is going to be an issue here, then I would swing more towards the Atto 3.
I would take the MG4 actually.
MG4.
But now I just realized the buyer is a Tito.
Yeah.
The MG4 looks a bit more hip or a bit too hip for
It might be
older
a bit
Titos.
too hip.
Because the Atto 3 is very simply styled and it's nice. It's kind of classy. But
That's
the
true.
MG4 is too sporty.
The MG4 looks like a hot hatch.
Yeah, but though he
Maybe
didn't,
your uncle likes a hot hatch.
he didn't specify naman the design. Right?
No, he didn't say.
He's not very particular with it. So maybe that's just me, the youth in me saying.
Yeah, I think between the two, if you don't mind the looks, if you want to look like it's a younger car, MG4 is a good option. But the Atto 3 would be the more mature, more generally acceptable, looks like a normal car option.
Yeah.
So we didn't really choose one for him, but between the two, it's a good choice.
At least he has two,
Yes.
and they're very distinct.
So with that, what are we driving this week?
Okay.
Is it still all you, Anton?
No.
Leandre, please.
I'll start with mine, or at least Charles. But I'm the one here, and he's the one behind the camera, so I'm the one talking. I drove the Cyberster, which he has for a week. I drove it a bit the other day. My God, what a car!
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. It didn't look fit for our village. That's what I can say. It's a very, very sporty two-door convertible with the scissor doors, and it's absurd.
But is it a sports car or a Grand Tourer? Because it's kind of got the length of a Grand Tourer.
But it's a bit sporty. Like
Okay.
it does have a large trunk. I'll give it that. But I don't know. I can't say it's Grand Tourer because Grand Tours are supposed to be like when you're inside them, you would like to go on a long drive.
Okay.
I wouldn't want that because it feels a bit too sporty. It feels a bit stiff. It's stupidly fast though. I mean, I drove it for just a few drives around Calax and that was it. It was crazy. It had super sport mode which changes the infotainment system and it goes like full boy racer mode.
That's what it's called, super sport mode.
Super sport? Tama diba? Super sport. It's like although the handling probably leaves a bit to be desired because it doesn't handle as well as some rear-wheel drive cars or of course all-wheel drive cars. I feel like it has too much power in those wheels.
It might sound too much power, but also how heavy is it?
How heavy is it? Oh.
Actually, I don't know the actual weight, but it does feel a bit heavy.
I tried googling the weight before. Parang it's not easily.
It's about the same weight as a Fortuner.
Anyway, let's move on to Anton's car for upcoming car.
Okay, so it is the exact opposite of Leandre's car because it's high off the ground as a twin turbo V6. Doesn't exactly save fuel or any of that, but it can fly off road. So it is the Ford Bronco.
And this one is an interesting car because it was crazy when it was launched. We had we posted a few videos from the launch and they just went viral like crazy.
Yeah.
I think people are so excited for the Bronco, even if we never actually got the Bronco here before.
Yes. They marketed it really well. Like even in countries that didn't get the Bronco are getting the Bronco. So, Ford has always been good with marketing, like ever since the 60s. And proof of that is the Mustang.
Ever since its 1974 Mustang.
The Mustang.
Well, okay, the Mustang 2 actually sold over 1 million units, so that's marketing brilliance there, not necessarily vehicular brilliance. Anyway, the Bronco, we do get the Sasquatch edition, so that's very interesting because I was honestly expecting that we would get the 2.7 liter
Me too.
engine, but no, we got the twin turbo.
The twin turbo.
We have the proper
Yeah. Because it kind of scrimped
Raptor.
on the Raptor. I mean, you didn't even get the Wild Track V6 in the Raptor V6.
Yeah.
So I was expecting to get the smaller Bronco engine, but we didn't.
But you know what? let's say
So
they
excited to try
never
that.
offer the V6 Everests and Rangers here. I don't mind. They've more than made up for it with the Bronco already.
Not to spoil anyone, but we are going to make sure we take it off road. So
Yes.
hopefully weather will be cooperative this
Or,
week.
like I was saying, there's no better time to test a convertible SUV than with the top down when it's raining.
You will see videos of Anton driving in the rain.
Akala ko Anton for scale.
Well, pwede din. Pwede din.
In the rain.
In the rain.
We will have a contest on who can take out the doors and the roof quicker
It should be an interesting challenge. So
without breaking anything
without breaking anything.
or scratching, even just so much as scratching anything. We promise to be careful.
And before we give away basically everything we will do next week, that pretty much wraps up our podcast this week.
Okay. So thanks guys for joining us, and we'll see you again next week on
All
Top
right.
Gear PH podcast
Thank you to
Bye-bye.
our millions of subscribers.
on Facebook.